Well, welcome back, everyone. I'm here again with the amazing Dr. Marc Cohen, who is just an incredible man, medical doctor. He was a professor for 16 years, and his knowledge, I just absolutely am inspired every time I listen to you. And you're a bridge, as I said, so many times to so many people. You're a bridge between conventional medicine, being a medical doctor, as well as natural medicine and natural wellness as such. What I wanted to ask you, because I get asked this all the time, Marc, is why is it so important to detoxify our body? I think it'd be great to have that from your scientific perspective and your knowledge and your research that you have undertaken.
Sure. So at the risk of depressing people, I've written an article which you can Google if they want, on the 10 toxic truths. And this goes into just the 10 non-controversial scientific basis of how toxic the world is becoming. And it's becoming really toxic. In 2014, cancer became the biggest killer on planet Earth, the biggest killer in Australia. And that's because there's so many more carcinogens around. And we are bombarded since the Industrial Revolution with a whole range of industrial chemicals, heavy metals, radioactive isotopes, things from chlorine to pesticides, to fire retardants, plasticizers, to microparticles, microplastics, that our body is constantly trying to battle this. And our ability to remove toxins and toxicants is not as great as the amount coming in. So as we get older, the toxic load in our bodies just builds up. And so it's almost like the straw that broke the camel's back. We're all carrying this burden, this toxic body burden. And then there may be one final burden that hits us, and it gives us a disease, maybe an inflammatory disease. For some people, it might be the gut. For some people, it might be their brain or their mental health that breaks down, or their endocrine system that breaks down. But what we do know is that if we can reduce that toxic load, our resilience improves, our ability to cope with stress improves, our enjoyment of life can improve. So keeping our toxic load as small as possible is the best way to ensure longevity, health, and a fulfilled and happy life. Now, it's really hard to do that. It means you have to reduce the toxicity coming in and maximize the toxic stuff going out of our bodies. And that will keep the load at level, or maybe even reduce it. But generally still, even with that, the load tends to increase as we get older. And a lot of the diseases of aging can be attributed to a buildup of toxicity in our bodies. So it really is important for us to reduce that load. And it's that load is depending on where you live, and also your genetics and your own health background, plus also other things that you use, your diet, any pharmaceutical drugs you take. They will put a burden on our liver and our kidneys to detoxify. So it's really important that we drink clean water, eat clean food, breathe clean air, have rest and activities that rejuvenate us. But in the modern world, that's difficult, and any help we can get will improve our life. And that's what we're trying to do with these water filters, is to ensure that the basic infrastructure of our body, water, which is 99% of all our molecules are water molecules, to make sure they come to our bodies clean and they can flush away other toxicity rather than bringing in new toxicity. And that's so vitally important.
That's absolutely amazing. I love your saying, if you don't use a water filter, you are the filter as such. So, and I love that saying.
We filter it, and then that accumulates in our kidneys and in our cells, and we think we're just getting older and decrepit, but it's not. It's just toxic burden.
Yep. There's also water-soluble and fat-soluble chemicals. Can you just explain that as such a little more, just because I talk about that a lot, and I think it'd be great to actually have you explain that a little bit more.
Sure. Well, I mean, in our water, there's both, but generally the different toxic chemicals get stored in different body compartments, and there's a great analogy with pesticides. So the first pesticides that came out after the Second World War were organochlorines. These are organic chlorine compounds like DDT, which are fat soluble, and they last in our bodies for decades. And they also last in the environment for decades. They're called persistent organic pollutants. And these persistent organic pollutants travel around in the water cycle around the whole of planet Earth. And often they're studied in human breast milk, because breast milk is a fatty substance and it's easy to get, and other than taking fat biopsies. So the World Health Organization does surveys of breast milk, and they found DDT in the breast milk of New Guinea highland women who are living at 2,000 metres altitude, 2,000 kilometres away from any agriculture. And that's because the DDT is in the global water cycle, and there's no living organism on Earth that's not contaminated with DDT. So that's the fat-soluble side. Then after probably the 1990s, and Rachel Carson talked about Silent Spring, and there was a big campaign against some of these persistent pesticides. They brought in the organophosphate pesticides. Now they're also a war chemical based on sarin gas, based on nerve gas, and they're very neurotoxic. But so they're actually more toxic than the organochlorines. And that's why we use them, because they affect the nervous system of insects. But they're water soluble. And that means you can actually pee them out. And I did some research 10 years ago that's been published in the scientific literature. It shows if you eat organic food for a week, and even 80% organic food for a week, you can reduce your organopesticide load by 90%. And that's because you pee them out. But if you're not eating organic food, you're peeing them out, but every day you're putting them back in. So they're just there all the time. So it's really important to flush them out, keep them out. So eating clean food, drinking clean water will not just stop the load coming in, it'll help flush the toxicity that's already in your body, and you'll continue to feel better for that. Now, there's also new research to say that bacteria are our friends. Bacteria in our gut and on our skin have a big impact on our health, on our mood, on our diet and what we want to eat, and our food cravings, on our obesity or level of slimness. It's all affected by these bacteria. And we've been really waging war on these bacteria by putting chlorine in our water and bathing in it, putting that on our skin, and putting chlorine in our drinking will affect our guts. And we still don't know the full extent of that, and we're studying that. This is some research that we're actually involved with this in science project. But there's no question that chlorine in water will change your gut bacteria, and that's going to be a good thing for you.
Most definitely. Mark, I try and live, me, I live as, I want to be no tox, but it's virtually impossible to be no tox. That's why I'm always, doing my own detox and minimizing the chemical burden that I'm putting both in and on my body, but also with water filtration. It's so important because I want to minimize that and give my trillions of cells within my body the absolute best chance to stay healthy. A lot of the people who are watching today know that I've had tumors in my spleen and had to have my spleen removed, and had endometriosis and Hashimoto's. And I can honestly say having tumors in my spleen was the best thing that ever happened to me. Why? Because it put me on a path to wellness that I possibly wouldn't have been on until later on in my life. As a result of that, my children are so healthy and my grandchildren are so healthy, and I'm the healthiest I've ever been. Me, I'm bouncing around like an Energizer bunny, and it's so beautiful. You mentioned, and I just wanted to touch on this, when you remove the toxicity from your life, when you stop putting that chemical burden on and in your body, you get to experience life as at a incredibly, just an incredible vitality level. And that's so beautiful.
Yeah, although, and I experienced that too, that, you feel more, alive and joyous. The one thing it does to it also makes you more sensitive. So I go to these luxury hotels now, and when they've got chlorinated water, I try and take a bath. I really get affected by it. So I've learned a few little tricks, like having a really making a bath that's really, really hot, and then putting the fan on, waiting half an hour, an hour, and then getting it in. Because if I'm going to 6-star luxury hotels now, it's a downgrade for me. Being at home, I can bathe in clean water. Because we get more sensitive, and I almost rather be dehydrated than drink tap water now. I'm just thinking about my gut and the taste of it, and I'm not just drinking chlorinated water. So you do become more joyous, but you also become more sensitive to the toxicity that's around.
Yeah, definitely. Just a quick question in regard to toxicants in personal care and skincare products as such. I speak a lot on that, and I'd just love to get your thoughts and input in regard to that as well, just quickly, and then I'll end this and we'll come back again, no doubt, in the very near future.
Well, the skin is our biggest organ, and we absorb a lot of toxic agents through our skin. And chlorine and chloramines are exposed to our skin. But anything you put on your skin ends up in your blood. You just put a bit of garlic, rub a bit of garlic on your socks, and you'll taste garlic, soon afterwards. People don't realise that, your skin is actually an organ of absorption, and that you shouldn't put anything on your skin that you wouldn't put in your mouth. So, and I think, the whole beauty industry is becoming more aware of, parabens and a whole lot of range. I mean, they used to put lead in lipstick and things like that. I mean, they're going to look back in 100 years and say, really, what were they thinking? What were women doing? And, I know you talk about endocrine disrupting chemicals and fragrance and parfum, which are these, very, very small dose can have a huge effect on our endocrine system and change our whole hormonal regulation. So that, women who are trying to become more feminine end up being, defeminized by these chemicals. So it really is tragic, I think, what we've done in the chemical industry, which is unregulated and unchecked. There's basic regulation, but it's not checked for human health effects.
No.
So the stuff, that gets into our supermarket shelf, not checked for human health effects. So it's up to consumers to really be conscious of what they buy and what they put on their skin and in their mouths and in their bodies. So, wellness is simple. It doesn't take, I've got 2 PhDs and a medical degree, and I've spent 30 years studying, but, I just realised all you need is clean water, clean food, fresh air, lots of exercise and good activities and people to love, and you've got wellness. It's not that hard, but to navigate in the real world to do that is a challenge, and I think we have to help people as much as we can to be able to navigate that. And drinking less poison is good for you, so get a filter, because if you don't use a filter, you are one.
I love that, Mark. Absolutely love that. I always say, we know what we know what we don't know, but we don't know what we don't know until we know it. And today you've had the absolute blessing of listening to this incredible man share his wisdom and his knowledge. And I want to thank you, Mark. Thank you from everyone watching this. Thank you for being the special human, the special soul that you are. And we will come back and we'll ask another question in due course. And I can't wait to share some more with the people who I love, who follow me, and who want wellness inspiration, and they're getting it from the best of the best here. So thank you.
Thank you, Therese. I love talking to you, and I love the work you do. And yeah, thank you for the opportunity. It's been great.